When my father was alive, around this time of year, a package would invariably arrive at my office. What was in it? A new snow brush, of course, and any other equipment that Dad thought might be helpful in keeping me safe over the winter. And with that, no doubt there was a reminder to keep a blanket in my car and not let my gas tank gauge fall below 1/2. Dad was protective, predictable, and utterly unsubtle in his worry. He was equally unsubtle in his edits, opinions, and other communication to his daughters. Right before I moved to Chicago in 1995, we celebrated Dad's 65th birthday and got him a modem for a gift. Well, that was it. Internet run wild, or AOL as it were. He sent daily emails, news reports, updates on who he saw picking up lunch, funny tidbits, sermon ideas, commentary on work, life, the world, you name it, photographs. He was my personal clipping service. It was great, and I looked forward to his daily emails, usually more than once daily. Dad used big fonts, bolded type, red and blue when he wanted you to notice something, and if he used yellow highlighting, you better pay attention. I loved it. I made fun of him, but I really appreciated it. Dad transcribed recipes from Mom, sent me ideas for writing and teaching, and just sent me missives that said, "Hi, I love you," always signing, "Love me" or "Love Dad." Subtle they were not. This week was Dad's 12th yahrzeit on the Jewish calendar, and so I was thinking about him even more than usual, if that's possible. A few weeks ago, I was on a call with some clergy colleagues as part of our Institute for Jewish Spirituality clergy leadership program. And one of my friends in the group, who knew my father way back when, asked, "What would Barry do?" And I thought about it. His question was asked as we approached the election. We were meeting just days before the election, and we feared great strife in our communities, in our country, and reflected on what we could do as spiritual leaders. Dad would, of course, urge us to speak civilly to one another, and would no doubt go to people who were disputing one another or arguing privately and quietly and try to bring them together to peaceful conversation. That was his way. The conversation got me thinking, gratefully, to the larger lessons of my father's life. For while we all should drive carefully in the snow and watch our gas gauges, you don't need me or my father to tell me that, I am certain. My father was, as so many of you know, an extraordinary father and grandfather, an inimitable congregational rabbi. He served Congregation B'nai Jeshurun in Short Hills, New Jersey for half a century, really, even into retirement. And he served our country as a United States Naval chaplain, 2 years on active duty and a near 3 decades after that as a reserve chaplain, and in positions of leadership within our rabbinic organization, guiding and mentoring other chaplains. In these lessons, he lived, in these experiments, these realms, he lived lessons that are profound, and here, more subtle in execution. So I share with you 3 examples from my father's life this evening, 3 that I believe have messages for us all today and wherever we are in our lives. First, a story that I love. It was the mid-'80s. A female Reform rabbi wanted to be an active duty chaplain in the United States Navy. She was a rabbinic student about to be ordained from the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. The Jewish Welfare Board Chaplaincy Commission, or Joint Chaplaincy Commission, was the endorsing body for rabbis going into military chaplaincy. It was comprised of Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox members. Therein lay the issue. A female rabbi wanting to be endorsed by a body that had Orthodox rabbis couldn't happen. They could not endorse a woman rabbi. Dad, who was then head of this commission, disbanded the commission very quietly. He disbanded the commission, and the remaining members, without his Orthodox colleague present, endorsed this rabbi for chaplaincy. Subsequently, he reconstituted the commission with a new name. Meantime, Rabbi Julie Schwartz went on to serve in the United States Navy as an active duty chaplain. The Orthodox colleague adhered to his principles and his understanding of halakha, of Jewish law. And Dad, Rabbi Barry Hewitt Greene, Captain U.S. Naval Reserve, achieved his goal of endorsing Rabbi Schwartz and keeping peace among his colleagues. The story is telling. Dad knew his principal goal and he set out to achieve it. He diplomatically worked with a hidden hand, or at least behind the scenes, to make his goal happen. And as he did, he sought peace, not controversy. At the same time, he did not seek the spotlight or the headlines. Sure, Rabbi Schwartz got headlines for ascending to the chaplaincy in the United States Navy, but Dad did not seek the headlines. In fact, if you Google it, you don't see him there other than him talking about it years later, his pride in this event. Dad did this again within circles of military chaplaincy when he got the main branches, movements of Judaism, to agree on one unified Siddur, prayer book, for the United States Armed Forces. This Siddur was a combined effort, one that people agreed on together, and it was unheard of. But was ultimately signed off on by the Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox movements, a prayer book given to all Jews in the military. Dad sought peace and collaboration in everything he did, in his military roles, in his congregational roles, in his community, even in our family. When relatives weren't speaking, you could be sure he was writing or calling to try to bring them together. Powerful lessons. Second, another story, a story that I knew but relearned in more detail this week. I'm sure I had read about it years ago, but I turned to words written by the presidents of Congregation B'nai Jeshurun after my father died. All the living presidents wrote tributes to Dad that were published in a booklet after his death. One, Fred Frankel, wrote about Dad telling this story. Fred wrote, "Some years back, a dispute over the placement of a creche scene at the Short Hills train station exploded. Parties on both sides were incensed. A town meeting erupted into anti-Semitic commentary from the audience. The town was on the brink of ugliness. And Dad," Fred writes, "apparently took control and used what Fred described as his unmatched relations with all local clergy to hold a meeting. Prior to the meeting, he met with his clergy colleagues. He talked to all the key religious leaders and got them to agree that diffusing the situation was in the best interest of everyone. Clergy returned to their posts and convinced their congregants to stand down. The situation was diffused. Dad orchestrated the whole situation. He never took credit. He just got the job done." That description is so Dad, so BHG as he was called. He orchestrated the situation, he never took credit, and he got the job done. That says it all. There's a theme, can you tell? The third story is not exactly a story, but a compilation of stories I've heard over the years. It was about Dad's ask, A-S-K. His ask, while he certainly made financial asks, this ask was not a fundraising ask. Dad would walk up to people and tap them on the shoulder, literally and figuratively. They might have just joined the synagogue, they might have been long-term members, they were people of all ages. He would walk up to people and say, "Would you blank? Would you think of bringing your skills to Temple to do this, to help create that, to help someone looking for a job, to step into a leadership role?" The BHG ask was about the task, about quietly helping someone in need, about making a big Seder happen or an Israel Expo or coming onto the board. But it was more than the ask. Sure, Dad wanted to make a difference, and he did. The congregation resettled countless Soviet Jews. He had people step up to reorganize the computer systems, celebrate synagogue anniversaries, bring leading musicians early on in their careers, like Debbie Friedman, for example, to the synagogue. But Dad's ask was about something else. When he tapped someone on the shoulder, he was giving them an entryway, a way to connect with the community, a way to meet others, a way to feel that B'nai Jeshurun was theirs, to own it, as it were, to know that this was their place and they were empowered and they were connected. So each ask, each tap on the shoulder opened the door for the person to whom he spoke. This week, as you probably heard in the news, the Northeast got hit with a really big storm, a snowstorm. I had to laugh as I was making sure my mom was okay with snow precautions there. I had to think that if the snow were hitting here and Dad were alive, he'd be calling me. Did you check this? Did you do that? Do you have enough snow melt? Is your shovel by the front door? Is your snow brush in the car? Etc. Those lessons stay with me, and my sister and I joke about them. Even Dad's grandchildren do. I reflected on those, but I stepped back and I turned to these lessons, these other writings about Dad, by Dad, and took these stories that I share with you as we enter Shabbat. I think that they're lessons for all of us. Fight for your convictions and do so in a way that creates peace, not controversy. Create collaboration. Work with dedication to bring people together. If it means in the public forum or in the private realms, coming together to have people agree to make peace, to get the job done. Get out in front of the crowd when you need to, but don't draw attention to yourself for its own sake. In fact, step out of the way and let what's important be important. Get done what you need to get done, and remember what's important. It's not about you. And then give folks purpose. Give them a sense of connection and purpose to make things happen and to make meaning. Because when we do that, we create community and we strengthen community. Certainly, so many of these lessons are ones that we live here at NSCI. I challenge you as we end 2020 and we enter 2021, as we finish Hanukkah celebrating miracles, and we celebrate new miracles, certainly as we see medical professionals rolling up their sleeves this week to get vaccinations to end this era of COVID. We see amazing things going on. We look to change. We look to building what we have. So take these lessons. Work with me, work with us toward peace, toward getting the job done, toward bringing people together, to fighting for our convictions, not unlike the Maccabees or like the Maccabees. And let us bring others together with a sense of purpose and meaning. In these challenging times, really in any times, I often turn and wonder what Dad would do. I sometimes yell in my office or think in my head or talk while I'm walking on the beach. I don't always know, but I tend to. I invite you to join with me. I refreshed my stock of answers this week as I turned to writings by and about my father. Won't you join me? Join me in sharing this wealth of wisdom and putting it to work. Toda rabah. Thank you so very much. Shabbat Shalom.